Good morning, Clay. It's all yours.
Morning. Alrighty. Happy Monday to
You're
everybody.
on mute, Clay.
Oh,
There,
there?
there you
Can
go.
you hear me?
Yep.
Alrighty. Happy Monday to everybody. I hope everybody had a great weekend. Was a very important Saturday for us, having a chance to go to the Coliseum and get a chance to have over a 60 play live scrimmage with our football team. As well as not only being able to look at offense and defense, but also being able to look at each phase of our special teams. It was something that I think was really needed. It was a great experience for our team, and we tried to create as close to what it's going to feel like on game day to get the feel for an empty stadium. It was immaculate. Credit to the grounds crew and what they're doing. It was unbelievable how nice the field was, but try to create what it's going to be like on game day. An empty stadium, the ambient noise that's continuously going, officiating every play. And it was a good learning experience for us. There were some really good things that happened, and then definitely some things that we're going to have to learn from. We're fortunate that we're going to get 2 more opportunities to get back in there the next 2 Saturdays. We need them, to be honest with you. This was a learning experience, and I'm glad that it got done for our kids. The positives that came out of it, I really thought Keaton had his best day of camp thus far. I thought he had a day where he walked in there, looked extremely sharp, was decisive with his decisions, protected the ball, gave his kids opportunities to make plays down the field, and really put them in some situations, some situational mastery phases, whether it was backed up off the goal line, making a great decision when something wasn't there and getting rid of the ball, a 2-minute drive where, a younger, maybe less experienced quarterback might have took a sack. He gets rid of the ball and goes to third down, picks up a big third down, and drives us into the red zone for a score before halftime. He did some things that you smile as a head coach, and I thought he had his best day of camp thus far. There was guys that really, we hadn't got to see in live situations yet, and Brew McCoy was one of those guys, and I thought he had a good day. It was nice to see him really show his skill level and see what he can do, and looked extremely comfortable out there. I thought our defensive front, anytime you're putting in a new system and it's literally you've had about a week and a half of being able to physically implement it, I thought our defensive front did a great job. T.O. did, I thought, a really smart job of keeping things simple, letting the guys play, communicate together, and you didn't see a lot of busts on the defensive front. Even to the point where the last phase, we had some fun. We put the ball down on the 10-yard line and had 1st and goal, 4 downs to get it into game situation, and the defense held true in that, and it was the defensive front that got it done. So the guy that really stood out defensively, a couple guys that stood out defensively, I thought Marlon had he gave you what you expect from an older leader. He walked into the Coliseum with the right attitude. We really had a good day. And Elijah Griffin was the Energizer Bunny all day, whether it was special teams, defense, just his energy level from A to B, from the beginning of practice to the end of practice, I thought was off the charts. It was good to get a feeling for what this is going to feel like. And then the biggest thing, probably the biggest positive, is anytime you have 60 plays and say, all right, boys, we're tackling, let's go. Well, all situations, let's roll. To come out with no injuries on the day was a blessing. So the areas for improvement, we did have refs out there. It really was our first live engagement with those refs. And we came away with some holding penalties offensively that are good to see and teach off of, where we got a little handsy inside and created some 2nd and longs for us that ended drives. So it's going to be great to teach off that. Amon-Ra, Drake, Brew, and TV all had big plays down the field. So, as one side of the ball, you're applauding the other side, you got to be able to say, hey, we've got to limit those big plays. And then the one good lesson, I think, for our guys is in this situation, especially in the first game, where we got a great feel for waking up, testing at 6 a.m., get your daily test at 6 a.m., grabbing a breakfast and quick meeting and going. That you got to bring your own energy, and you got to bring your own energy to the park because you're not going to get that from the crowd. So it was an awesome learning experience. Was it perfect? No, it was far from it. But to be able to get there and get that experience and have two more opportunities at this, I thought it was a positive on the day. So with that, I'll take any questions that you have.
Thank you, Clay. As we've done, just raise your hand and I'll call on you. If you're not on mute, stay on mute, and then you can unmute yourself. So we'll start with Ryan Young.
Clay, as far as the defense goes, what area of the defense do you think now is your major focus or concern? Not concern, but the area that needs the most polish and work the rest of this camp?
You know, Ryan, I'll be honest with you. I was really pleased with the schematics of the day and the communication of the day because you didn't see guys running wide open. You didn't see huge gaps. And like I said, T.O. did a masterful job of saying, you know what, we're going to go in there, simple Simon. We're going to do a couple things, and we're going to be really good at them, and give our kids a chance to just play for the first time. And it helped our defense. Where we've got to grow is winning the one-on-one battles. In my opinion, you know, like I said, we had some big plays down the field, and you know, it's good for us because you've got Chris Steele going against Amon-Ra St. Brown, Elijah Griffin going against TV. You got great players going against each other, and iron sharpens iron. So I think the challenge defensively right now is to win those one-on-one situations, especially down the field. That would probably be the biggest thing going into this week, which will be basically their toughest week of this camp is the next 6 days. So hopefully we see that improvement from this first week, full week that we've had to this week coming into next Saturday.
And then with Brew, we've heard a lot of good things so far this camp. We didn't see a lot of rotation last year on the outside. Those veteran guys kind of stayed out there. What kind of role do you expect for him, and how much opportunities are going to be for him to rotate in on the outside there?
Yeah, you know, we've been very fortunate, I think, with our young people, and not only with Brew, but when Josh Jackson is healthy and Gary Bryant is healthy, you know, you've got some depth there right now that is going to allow us that if a guy needs air or a guy gets dinged, that there's no lack of production in my mind. Some guys are really stepping up, and so I definitely see him contributing. Now, how much of a contribution will be up to him and how he continues to perform over the next 2 weeks. But he made a major step forward this past Saturday.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to Ryan Karchi.
Good morning, Clay.
Good morning.
Just kind of piggybacking on Ryan's question there. In terms of rotating receivers last year, was that just a product of or the lack of a rotation, I guess? Is that more just a product, especially on the outside of how tested and how much you trusted those guys like Michael Pittman Jr., or is that a matter of maybe the younger guys weren't necessarily ready to fit in?
Yeah, well, we had great experience last year, if you remember, Ryan. I mean, Mike Pitt brought a ton of experience, you know, going into his fourth year, and really was expecting a big year from him. You know, probably the kid that really showed up for us the most last year that we knew had the ability, it was just when the light was going to click on, was Drake London, and the ability to get him rolled in. So we knew what we had with Ra and Pitt and TV. We were looking for that next guy that could produce for us. And you look up and there's Drake, and I think he had over 700 yards last year. You know, so there'll be some 1, 2, 3 guys this year that is going to stand out for us, and it's so invaluable. You know, especially this year, and just watching college football. You don't know when you're going to lose a guy, whether it's injury or testing, and you're seeing it across the country right now. Teams not playing with 10, 12. I think Virginia Tech had double digits one game where they lost a number of guys and had to go into that game and get a win. So, it's going to be. I've told our coaches we have to coach from the bottom up. We have to make sure that Gary Bryan and Josh Jackson and Brew McCoy and John Jackson, they're ready. They're ready at a moment's notice. So it was really good to see our young people are starting to flourish. And we've got some older kids in Raw and TV, and now Drake's an older kid now. He's had a year's worth of experience, but we're going to have to lean on some youth too, I think, in this situation.
And you guys rotated so much at running back last year, and I know with a couple of injuries to start camp, I know Stephen Carr has probably gotten more touches early on than he would have otherwise. What have you seen out of him just in terms of that opportunity?
Yeah, Ryan, he's had his best camp to date. I'll be honest with you. Last week, he really took a step forward, and we challenged him. And I think competition brings the best out in us all. And Keenan Kristen had a great week last year, and it was like those two guys were just feeding off each other. We had a really physical day on Wednesday, which was a full pad day, and I thought Steven set the tone for the entire day with his physicality of running. He's a guy that can make you miss, as we have seen in open space. On that day, it was, I'm going to pound the ball that's between the tackles, and I'm going to show you my physicality. And that's what I'm seeing from him right now and applauding him right now. And he did it again Saturday with the exception of one time. And I immediately went up to him. I said, don't go back because you run it as I've ever seen you run it. And I'm hoping that he'll keep that physicality of learning how to take that one cut and get north. And then use that crossover move that he makes people miss, as you know how a great boxer does, jab, 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 and then knockout. That's what I'm hoping that he'll continue to do. But he's had a wonderful camp thus far.
Okay, Adam Grossbard, you're up.
Hey, Clay. Last week you talked about Graham utilizing some 2 running back sets and more tight end personnel. How did those groups look in the scrimmage setting?
Yeah, we used both personnel groupings. Being able to use the 2 backs, 3 wides package, as well as tight ends, whether they're attached, flexed. He takes 5 great athletes and he spreads the field with them in different formations. And we have a great advantage, I think, when you have an EK and a Jude Wolf and a Josh Follow, the athleticism that they bring the tight end position, not only to flex out, but to attach the line of scrimmage. When you have the likes of a Keenan Kristen and a Stephen Carr and develop in Marquis Step, you think about some of those guys. Keenan and Steven and even Levi are as good a receivers as they are running backs. You're talking about guys that can not only line up at receiver, but also, do a great job of catching the ball out of the backfield. And so it's something that we did utilize, Adam. Both of those personnel groupings were practiced a lot, to be honest with you, in this setting on Saturday, and something I see us continue doing.
And you mentioned Keaton having one of his, best practices. What do you feel? Where do you feel he is? Obviously last year he had a pretty good feel for the playbook, but where do you think he is? A year later with a year of starting under his belt and a full off season preparing as the starter.
Yeah, there was, when you put kids in situational mastery phases, I think that's what where they're at. And we started the scrimmage off right from the -1. I wanted to put them in the hardest situation possible right off the get-go and see how they would react to it. And he made a decisive decision when we go and call. We have a 5-man out passing progression. It's not there. He decided, you know what, I'm not going to take a safety. I'm going to get rid of this ball. I'm going to go to second down. And guess what? On second down, he throws one for 25 yards. So those are the type of decisions that I think are imperative. And I talked about the 2-minute situation. He was in a situation where all of a sudden, he's a young quarterback's probably going to take a sack on the play that happened. Instead, he throws it away, and the next play he hits an explosive. Great quarterbacks buy time until it's there. They don't make the critical error that can cost points. And those two decisions, one probably saves you a safety, saved you points, and the decision in the 2-minute drive allowed us to gain points. His decision making right now is what stood out to me, and decisive, timely decision making. That's where I think he's advanced.
Okay, good morning, Keely. Your turn.
Hey, Clay. I was just wondering, you mentioned OG already, but what are you expecting from the trio of OG, ITS, and Chris Steele, and what have you seen so far?
Yeah. Those guys going into, ITS and OG going into their third season, and Chris going into his second, they're experienced now. They're guys that in this system that if you have shut down corners and can be able to rush for, it's going to be a mighty good day for your defense. And that's a challenge for them right now. And they're going against maybe as good a receiving core as they may face this season. So it's a great experience for them. And they're winning some battles and they're losing some battles. We lost a couple battles down the field that I know that between Dante and that crew, they expect perfection from the beginning of practice to the end. And so it's something that I think they're learning. I've watched them physically get better as technicians, as well as leaders, to be honest with you. I think Dante's doing an amazing job with that crew, just transforming their personalities, their mindset, as their technique and fundamentals. They're not a finished product yet, by no means, but gosh almighty, they've made advances in the time they've been working with Dante. So we need them to play big, especially in this defense. It calls for shutdowns corners. This scheme does, and thank goodness we have those three guys here, because that's what I believe they are.
And then could we get updates on Giuliano Falanico, Jin Williams, and Dorian Hewitt?
Yeah. Giuliano suffered an ankle sprain last Thursday that non-surgical, but a pretty good ankle sprain, Keely, that'll keep him out for some weeks. Dorian, we're expecting back today. When we were live on Wednesday, he suffered kind of a back sprain going down to the ground, and expect him to be back today. And Jalen is the same way. He's day to day. And so I expect those two kids back. I think Dorian will be back today. Jaden could be back as early as today or tomorrow. Giuliano is going to be a little bit longer.
Okay, Antonio.
Clay, what's been your assessment of Kobe Pepe and Tulia Tuipulotu so far?
Yeah, I've been happy with both. One, I think Aaron Osmus has done a great job with Kobe. I think, as we went through the COVID virus and being away, Kobe had put on some weight and needed to shed a couple pounds, get back in shape, and he has. Since coming back with us in July, has had a great sense of urgency to get his body where he's not just a 2 to 3 play guy and out, but he can go 6 to 8 to 10 plays in a drive, and he's in a great situation because he's sitting there right with Marlon, and Marlon's teaching him everything to do and how to do it and doing it the right way and how to be a pro. So I've been pleased with his mindset and his work ethic, and he'll continue to develop fundamentally and technique-wise. Thule has been awesome. I mean, from day one, to be honest with you, and I can see him contributing this year. He has been an extremely mature kid and is growing by the day. I mean, I remember when he was 240 pounds and now he's 275, and he looks like a monster. And he runs like he's 275, but runs like he's 240. Antonio, I mean, great athleticism, has pass rushing skills. Obviously, his older brother is on him every day, and making sure that he's doing right both on and off the field. And so he has a really bright future, and somebody that I think's had a great camp, one of the better camps of anybody on our team, and somebody I can see contributing and helping us this year.
And what's the health status of Kanai?
He's getting close, Antonio. I'll be honest with you. He is running now. His running progression has started with his hamstring, and they're taking it slow. But I anticipate him being ready for Arizona State.
Okay, let's go to Mark Culkin.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Clay,
Mark.
Good morning. Clay, earlier you touched on the growth with Keaton. Can you talk about the quarterback competition behind him with Mo and Matt? And what growth have you seen from Matt with his decision?
Yeah. Matt has been the constant professional, and I thought he was ultra competitive. He was one that I thought brought good energy and really did some nice things in the scrimmage. And Mo's learning. To be honest with you, he's been in this situation. I've been impressed with his accuracy in team drills, in routes on the air, 7-on-7. That's what stood out to me with Mo. Now it's putting it all together when the bullets are flying and the live scrimmages are happening. And you can tell that he's still learning a system, but it gets better each day. But it helps you sleep at night to have two guys that have been in actual college football games behind Keaton and have produced. So both looked comfortable on Saturday. I didn't see any anxiousness or nervousness. They looked comfortable. I can always tell by their eyes, and both of them handled the situations really well. So it'll be neat to watch the next 2 weeks, but I'm glad both of them are here.
Okay, Eric McKinney.
Hey, Clay, what were you able to learn about the offensive line, both in terms of those kind of guys pushing for starting spots and then the true freshmen as well?
Yeah, there's a definite level of experience that you can see with those older kids. They've been in the battles. When you're talking about Elijah Barrett Tucker and Andrew Voorhees and Brett Nealon and Liam Jimmons and Jalen McKenzie, those guys have played a lot of ball, and they walked into that stadium like pros. But what stood out to me is some guys that have really grown up over the last couple of years and are ready to contribute. I thought Justin Tedich had a good day on the day, and it's going to be a guy that can help us at center or guard. I thought Liam Douglas has really grown and really progressed from last year to this year, and a guy that I can see walking in games. And then I've been ultra impressed with our freshmen. The 6 kids that we signed last year are going to be the future of this place, and really have had a sense of urgency to not only compete but prepare. And probably this time period, to be honest with you, from July to now October, has probably benefited those 6 kids the most, where probably just impossible for them if we had started in September to have a chance to contribute early. But now, having from July to late October right now, they've progressed. I mean, Jonah Monheim, Cortland Ford have really stood out to us. And then you got Casey Collier and Caden Stevens and Andre DeRorke and Andrew Malek, who's now working at center and doing a heck of a job. Led our threes this pass and really functioned extremely well with the ball in his hand. So it's been neat to see those guys. They're attached at the hip. They're a really tight group. everywhere you go, you see them together. It kind of reminds me of a couple years ago when Austin Jackson and Elijah Vera Tucker and Jalen McKenzie and Brett Nealon and Andrew Voorhees all came in together, and how tight-knit they were. So it's been neat to watch that group. I think because of this extended time that we've been given, I don't think there's going to be a fear if we have to be able to put 1, 2, or more in a game. You're on mute, Tim.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. We have time for one quick question and answer. We'll go to Ryan Young.
Building off the offensive line question, Clay, right now, do you know what your plan B is at the 2 tackle spots if either of those guys were to be nicked up or let them miss some snaps?
Yeah, we've got a great one of the things, Ryan, as you've seen from our recruiting, is we believe in signing tackles. So even like last year, each one of those kids had played tackle, and they can move out. But you think Jonah Bonheim is working at tackle right now. Casey Collier, Cortland Ford are all working at tackle right now. And you have guys that have been out there at the tackle positions. If you remember, Liam Jimmins has been out there, as well as Andrew Voorhees. So we have a lot of candidates that we're working and looking at. It's always about getting the best 5 on the field. And Drev does a good job of putting guys at multiple positions. Jalen's worked right and left. Liam has worked inside, and Liam Jimmins has worked inside and out. And so there's been a lot of multi-training just for those scenarios. But we've got a lot of good candidates for it. I don't think we're lacking in tackles. It'll be about getting the best 5 on the field. And I think we'll have a great feel for that after these next 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Okay, Clay, thanks for joining us. I know you have another meeting to get off to tomorrow. We hope to see everybody 8 a.m. We're going to have Coach Jinks, Vi Malapai, and Stephen Carr. Wednesday, we'll have a defensive coach. We're still working on locking that down. Hopefully some defensive backs for you. So with that, thank you everybody for joining us, and see you tomorrow morning.
Have a great week, guys. See you on Thursday.